All right, welcome to Starting Nine here on the Five Reasons YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick and at Five Reasons Sports. Our producer today is Manny Chang. Of course, today is doomsday potentially for the Miami Heat. This could be the last day of the season in the 84th game. We'll get into that in a second. First, I want to mention our sponsors. It's kind of felt like doomsday here in Fort Lauderdale recently. That's why you got to go to U Break Wheel Fix. Go to ubreakwheelfix.com. That's the letter U at the start. You can see their website there. You can see the phone number there, 305-748-0112, 305-748-0112. Your wheels are taking a beating right now, aren't they? I mean, if you're out on the roads here with all the rain, with everything else that's going on here, got to go to ubreakwheelfix.com. They can fix them for you, but they can do much more than that too. They can give you shiny new ones. Yes, that's right. They can refinish them all kinds of different ways. Refurbish, refinish. It's a total wheel solution over at ubreakwheelfix.com. They're located in North Miami. You can also check out their Instagram page at ubreakwheelfix. And if you want to get the fancy colors, the Heat colors, the Canes colors, the Dolphins colors, they can do that for you there also. But there's much, much, much more that they can do. So check out the Instagram page, ubreakwheelfix. Or go to ubreakwheelfix.com. Again, that's a U, just the letter U at the beginning. Check it out with Mark and his team down there. Mention Five Reasons. You get a discount as well. 305-748-0112. Also, this is just a precursor for what we're looking for in hurricane season, so make sure you're prepared. Our other sponsor of today's show, All Pro Construction Builders. Go to allproconstructionbuilders.com. They use American products, locally made products. Danny and the team. I saw Danny out there. You know, all of our sponsors are huge Heat fans, actually. Mark is over at U-Break Wheel Fix. Danny, he was there rocking the jersey over at the Heat game against Atlanta. We don't want to talk about that game, though. allproconstructionbuilders.com. Reach out to Danny and his team. Check out the Instagram page as well. Again, you got to get those storm windows, right? Because you see what just happened in this area. And this wasn't even a big storm. It was just a little rain. Well, it was a lot of rain, but that's all it was. There wasn't a ton of wind. You got to protect your home or your business. So reach out to All Pro Construction Builders, 305-484-4429. They're based there in Miami-Dade County, but they can service Monroe County and Broward counties as well. So reach out to them. Again, All Pro Construction Builders. And you can see their work on their Instagram page as well, and check out the team. Again, it's a family-owned business, so check them out today and get yourself prepared for hurricane season, which we know is coming in the fall. All right, Ethan Skolnick here again. Producer is Manny Chang. We'll put up some of your comments here, and this is sort of a melancholy day. It feels like, in some ways, Heat fans feel they can't win, but they also can't lose. And just to put that into some context here, when I put a poll up a couple days ago, do you want the Heat to win this game against Chicago? And at the time, we didn't know it was Chicago. We didn't know if it was going to be Chicago or Toronto. But after they lost to Atlanta, do you want the Heat to win this game? 85% of Heat fans said no. And there are really a couple of different reasons for that. I mean, one reason is just that people are tired of this team. They're just tired of this team, and we're seeing it in our numbers on the podcast and some of our other content. We're trying to be as creative as we can, but people are just sick of this team this year. They don't feel that this team has been connected. They don't feel that this team has been committed in the ways that other Heat teams have been, or they're accustomed to in this organization. I mean, this felt like some of these Dolphin teams and Panther teams and Marlins teams that were ultimately forgettable. Heat teams are not supposed to be forgettable. Since Pat Riley took over in the mid-'90s, it's only been like 4 or 5 seasons and you're like, okay, that was a forgettable season. Okay, 2001, 2002, 2006, 2007. One of the seasons in the late, I think you would say 2017, 18, perhaps that counted as one of those. There's been a few seasons that have been forgettable, but not a lot. Most seasons you remember for something. And, you know, you look at 2 years ago, the only thing I remember about that season, that's the post-bubble season, was that the 3 minutes Udonis Haslem played against Dwight Howard. And now I kind of fear that the only thing anybody's remember about this season is the last game that Udonis Haslem played. Like, is it possible that Udonis Haslem gave the Heat their best memories in 2 of the last 3 seasons when he wasn't really even a completely active player? Sort of feeling like that. So the first thing is people are just kind of tired of watching this team. Okay. The second thing is a more practical reason for them to lose this game. whole team looks stupidly locked in. Thank you, Gio. The other part of this is that there is a reason to lose this game, okay, which is draft position. And I don't usually get into this because, first thing, the Heat don't typically value their draft picks. And now, even if they get a draft pick, it's more likely so that they can flip it to try to get a star at some point if one becomes available. But they are so short on picks compared to some other teams that they're going to get outbid regardless. Okay, I mean, let's just look at the teams that are playing that played the other night. Okay, New Orleans and Oklahoma City, and Oklahoma City plays again tonight. I mean, OKC, if you count their pick swaps, has 15 first-round picks in the next 5 years. 15. Okay? How exactly are you – if OKC wants a player, unless the player says, I have no interest in going to that place, I'm going to make life incredibly difficult, how are the Heat exactly going to outbid OKC? How are they going to out – and the same applies to Utah and New Orleans. How are they going to outbid teams that have multiple first-round picks like each of the next 4 or 5 years? Those three franchises, all out in the West, by the way, have monopolized the first-round picks. And they all have existing talent on the roster. Utah has Markkanen, right? And some of their other players proved to be better, Kessler, than people expected. OKC, I mean, Shea is a top 10 player now. Giddey looks pretty damn good, right? And New Orleans, I mean, they still have Brandon Ingram. They still have McCollum. And in some way, they have Zion. We'll see if that ever materializes. This comes in from Sheldon. I would prefer they lose and avoid the embarrassing pummeling from Milwaukee. Well, that's the third reason. Okay, so there are 3 reasons, right? One is tired of watching this team. 2 is you can move up 6 picks in the draft if you lose this game. You will pick 14th instead of 20th. And again, I'm saying having that pick to be able to flip and having it be a little higher is not going to make that much of a difference in the grand scheme. But I understand how Heat fans would be like, okay, if the season's going nowhere anyway, why not put yourself in the 14th pick, which is, by the way, where you drafted Bam Adebayo and 1 pick behind where you drafted Tyler Hero, and give the Heat to at least acquire a player who can help them down the road or can be moved down the road. Okay, it gives you a better shot. I get that. Okay, it's 6 picks. It's not 6 slots. It's not 1 slot. It's not 2 slots. I understand. And the third thing is people who love the Heat just don't want to watch them get whipped here. I mean, they don't want to watch them go up to Milwaukee and lose in 4 games and be embarrassed, okay, and look like the worst team in the first round. And by net rating, by the way, they might be the worst team in the first round if they make the playoffs. I'm going to look that up when the show is finished. So I understand the 3 reasons why you don't want them to win tonight. I get it. But there's one reason to root for them tonight, okay? And that is it would be nice for them to show some damn pride. Like, that building tonight is not going to be a festive place. Like, I looked on StubHub, and you can get into the arena tonight, and I'm sure it's going to get cheaper as the day goes instead of more expensive. This is not like, oh, I got to get to that game, and then all of a sudden at 4 o'clock, how can I grab a ticket? No, this is people who put their tickets on StubHub and SeatGeek and some of these other sites, and they're trying to get rid of them, okay? And I'm looking on there, and yesterday, you can get in 400 level center. Well, not center because it's 400 level, but you can get in a 400 level for $23. Case on Wallace. Yeah, well, another Kentucky guy. Exactly. They probably should have taken a couple of others, right? Quickly, what might have been nice. Maxi might have been nice. You can get it for $25. And lower level, 100 level, 15th row, slightly off center, $189. Okay, those tickets for a big game are 300, 400, and up. So, and Randy mentioned we don't play our picks anyway for Jovic. Well, that's true too, and he possibly can be traded. So anyway, looking at it overall, like, this is not going to be a festive place tonight. Okay, it's a Friday night. People have other places to go. The weather has been atrocious, more so in my county than down there, but still, right? And so I just think, and also here's the other part. It's a 7 o'clock game on a Friday. There ain't going to be nobody in that building when the game starts. We know how traffic is down there, and it has nothing to do with the Heat. Just talking about a Friday, everybody getting off of work, 7 o'clock start. The Heat had no control over that, but we know that the Heat usually like to play on 8 o'clock, at 8 o'clock on Fridays. Why? It gives people more time to get there. Okay? When I talked to a Heat official, they put a game at, what was it? Well, I think it was an 8 o'clock start. And I was asking, like, why won't you play these at 7:30? And they're like, well, there won't be anybody here. This is a 7 o'clock start with a fan base that's basically given up on this team. So here is my concern for tonight, okay? And again, a lot of you this may be your best case scenario. This may be what you want to see. You may want to see them lose and get blown out. And you think, and here's the fourth reason that people want them to lose tonight. So we started, okay? 1, tired of watching this team. 2, draft pick potential or moving up in the draft. Number 3, you don't want to watch an organization that you love get mocked, okay, by getting swept by Milwaukee. Those are the 3 reasons, okay? But the other, and now the fourth reason is slipping my mind. But anyway, it'll come back to me. I'm playing like the Heat here. But there are a lot of people that you don't want to see them win this game, okay? And so I get that. So for a lot of you, this will be a positive for you if they don't come out and perform. But do you really want the taste? Oh, I'm sorry. The fourth reason. You think it's somehow going to wake up the front office. That's the fourth reason, right? You think it's somehow going to wake up the front office. That, okay, if they don't even make the playoffs, that somehow they're going to realize we need to blow this thing up. I think you should put that one out of your mind. I think they know at this point. Like, I know everybody thinks they're sleeping. I get it. But they know. They know what their team is and what it isn't. They know they're a negative in net rating this year, that their net rating is 23rd in the league. They know that that's not the net rating of a championship contender. They know that they need to reshape this thing around Jimmy or around Jimmy and Bam, or maybe around Jimmy, Bam, and Tyler, but they need to reshape it in some way. I don't think tonight is going to determine their viewpoint on that. Well, if we make the playoffs, everything's fine. We're not going to make any moves. No, I don't think so at all. Being an 8th seed is not what this organization aspires to be, okay? So I wouldn't worry about that. But the one reason, against those 4 reasons, which I finally remembered, that you should want them to perform well tonight is they need to show some damn pride. They just need to, I mean, if you want them to play hard and lose, I understand your reasoning there. But if you don't want them to embarrass themselves against Milwaukee, you shouldn't want them to embarrass themselves tonight. Okay? Like this Chicago team, which has been pretty good since the All-Star break, okay? They are first in the league in defensive rating since the All-Star break. They are 5th in the league in net rating since the All-Star break. They have found something with a backcourt of Caruso and Beverly that has gotten them through when they haven't had Lonzo Ball the entire season, and they found something playing DeRozan. Everybody complains about the Heat playing small ball. They're playing DeRozan at the 4 and Levine at the 3, okay? So they have found something here. Patrick Williams has given them some good minutes as he's developed off the bench. They moved Io to the bench, and they've been fine. But this is not a great team that they're playing. This is a team that they lost to 3 times already this year, and they lost 2 in the season opener. And the season opener kind of was foreboding for what would happen the rest of the season in terms of the way that the Heat looked disconnected in that game. They looked totally out of sorts. I, as an observer, and maybe you as an observer, should want them to show some damn pride against this team tonight, okay? If you go back to the 2006-2007 season, after they won a championship, which this team did not win, okay? That Heat team won. This team acted like they'd won a title. I'll share something here. I had a conversation with Udonis about 3-4 weeks ago about the frustrations of this season. He says, we acted like we won the championship. And he said, we were talking about it reminded him of 06-07. And I said, yeah, I said it reminded me of 06-07. He says, yeah, but we didn't win it. We did win a title that year. All we did was get close to the finals last year. We did not win a title. Okay. But if you remember that season, 06-07, it started with a loss coming off the championship. It started with a home loss to the Bulls when they got their rings. It ended with a sweep at home against the Bulls. So this season has an opportunity to follow that path, except for one key difference. These guys don't have rings from last year. And so to me, it's even worse. If they get blown out on their home floor against Chicago, all right, it is the perfect capper to this season in terms of being appropriate, but it will be completely embarrassing, and they're not going to hear the end of it from the fan base, from us in the media, because they did not put up the proper effort this season to be a team that was worthy of watching and be a team that is worthy of celebrating. This comes in from Shadow. Jimmy be coasting all season. Ain't that proof he thinks he's better? I think that to say Jimmy's been coasting all season is kind of unfair when he shot 62% from the field after the All-Star break. But I understand the frustration with his performance in the play-in game against Atlanta because he was playing at a high level. And we expected the level to be there or to go up in that game. And he, like Bam, did not play well. And we just did an entire episode about Bam, which I recommend you check out. It's going to post to the YouTube channel here about what's at stake for him tonight, because I think there's a lot at stake for him tonight. I think there's a big burden on him to bounce back, okay? But Jimmy needs to show pride tonight too. They all do. They all do, okay? Because they owe it to this fan base. This fan base bought into them after last season. Yes, there was frustration in the offseason about changes that were not made. Yes, there were a lot of fans that were concerned that this could be the result. There are a lot of fans who are patting themselves on the back right now because they said if you ran it back, this is what was going to happen. And I understand all that, and there's time for that, and we'll credit you for that and all of that. But the players have not given the fans a good experience this year. They did not look like a team that was having fun. They did not look like a team that was playing hard. A lot of the time, it just has not been a great year. I mean, it just has not been a great year. And for it to end with them playing with no pride at home against a Chicago team that finished 10th in the conference prior to the play-in, it would be an ugly scene tonight. And I'm going to follow here with this. I remember when they got swept by Chicago in 06, and well, it was actually the 07 playoffs. In the first round, they lost 4-0 in that series. And with about 3 minutes left, they were done. Luol Deng, if everybody remembers, he wasn't a member of the Heat yet, but he killed the Heat in that series. He beat Shaq and Dwayne by himself, basically. Okay, and all the old guys who won a championship the previous year, Peyton and Posey and Walker, etc. And they came back the next year, and Posey and Walker got fined and suspended during training camp because they were out of shape, and just the whole year was a total mess, starting with Shaq. Okay, and with about 3 minutes left in that mess, down 3-0 in the series and about to get swept 4-0, Pat Riley called a timeout and he clapped them all off the floor. And maybe, I've always wondered this, okay, maybe it was because Pat was just celebrating them for having won a title together and what they accomplished. And maybe it was go to the bench. Let's just get this thing over with. And I am concerned that tonight that may be what happens. I don't think Spoelstra would do that. That's not his way. Okay. But I do fear a result tonight where they're down 18 with 3 minutes left. They haven't shown any heart. I think you're going to feel worse about that than about them winning tonight. And then losing to a very, very good Milwaukee team and losing 6 spots in the draft. So, like I said, in some ways, you can't lose tonight because either the Heat are going to win a game and go to the playoffs, or they're going to go up 6 spots in the draft and end your misery. But in some ways, you can't win tonight. And that's kind of where this team has put everybody this year. All right, we're going to have a lot of content coming up today. As I mentioned, Bam episode is going to be up. Greg and I did 40 minutes on pretty much just Bam, okay? So if you have a view on the Bam topic and what he should be providing and whether he's a legitimate superstar or whether he's a high-level role player and whether or not he can be the second best player on a championship team, we covered all of it. So it's all there in that episode. That's going to be up. We're doing playback tonight during the game. So join us there. Alex Brady and myself will be at the game. We'll have coverage from the game. We'll be putting videos up on the YouTube channel. This comes in from Aaron. Fan base Twitter culture would even turn on Dwayne D. Wade if he was still playing. Probably would. Something that people don't remember is like everybody loves Chris Bosh now, right? Like I love Chris Bosh. He's one of my 5 favorites I've ever covered. I spent 4 years defending Chris Bosh on Twitter. Okay. So, yes, Twitter can be toxic. No question about it. Bam is getting a lot of what Bosch used to get. But I do understand the frustration this season. I get it. I get it. Because it's one thing if your team is not good enough. It's another if they don't try hard enough. And I just feel this year that they have consistently not tried hard enough. And trying hard is not just diving for loose balls, although they didn't get any the other night and giving up 22 offensive rebounds. But trying hard is also trying to make it work with your teammates, trying to connect with your teammates, trying to have fun. And this is not a team that's looked like it's had fun most of the year. Getting back to the content, we will have a post-game show on here tonight as well. Yes, Greg is going to be hosting that one and plenty of other content going forward. Also, check out Prize Picks. Use code 5, FIVE. I've got one suggestion for you tonight on Prize Picks. Again, use that code FIVE. You get your initial deposit match up to $100. Play DeRozan. He's at 22 points on there. He averaged 28.5 against Miami this year. He got those points easily. He shot 65% from the field. I don't know that they really have a different plan against him. They're probably going to start Caleb. So probably Jimmy will start on DeRozan and Caleb will start on Levine. I still think DeRozan's going to get his tonight. The other prop I liked tonight on Prize Picks was Bam over 1.5 dunks. I feel like they're going to make an effort to get him the ball in easy situations early. You might get that in the first 5 minutes. Okay, so those are the two props I like. Go to Prize Picks, use the code 5, FIVE. Check out allproconstructionbuilders.com, ubreakwheelfix.com. Thanks to our producer, Manny Chang. Sorry about my mild amnesia here. I've been stuck in the house here for a couple days. We'll have plenty of content on the channel as the day progresses. And this comes in from Van Van. DeMar's daughter shows more heart than the Miami Heat. Thank God she's in school today. Because the one thing the Heat do well is shoot free throws. You do not want DeMar's daughter getting in the way of that. Have a good day, everybody.